Top stories tonight in Y News. The Philippines has identified its first case of the monkeypox virus, and health officials are in discussions with the United States government to obtain monkeypox medications.
The Department of Migrant Workers will provide financial assistance to families of overseas Filipino workers who were impacted by the strong earthquake.
Authorities are looking into the possibility of a family feud after the father of the gunman in the Ateneo shooting was killed in Lamitan City, Basilan.
Fuel companies will implement a further rollback in the price of petroleum products next week.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Friday, the 29th of July, 2022. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am William Theo.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts. I am Harlene Delgado.
First in the news, the monkeypox virus has been detected for the first time in the Philippines. A returning overseas Filipino worker who arrived in the country last week is the index case. Nel Maribohok filed this report.
The country's first case of monkeypox was a 31-year-old returning overseas Filipino worker who arrived in the Philippines on July 19. Department of Health Undersecretary Beverly Ho said that RT-PCR, which was carried out at the DOH Research Institute for Tropical Medicine yesterday, was used to test and confirm the case's positive status.
The case had prior travel to countries with documented monkeypox cases. The case was tested and confirmed positive for monkeypox via reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction, or RT-PCR, done at the DOH Research Institute for Tropical Medicine on July 28.
The gender and travel history of the confirmed case were not disclosed by the DOH. However, the agency located 10 close contacts, 3 of whom came from the same household. Yusek Ho said the close contacts are being monitored and are not exhibiting any symptoms.
All have been advised to quarantine and are being monitored by the department. The DOH assures everyone that our public health surveillance systems are able to detect and confirm monkeypox cases.
The DOH emphasized the difference between monkeypox and the COVID-19 virus. Investigation of recent monkeypox cases in other non-endemic nations, according to Yusek Ho, suggests a possible transmission route through sexual contact with an infected person. Nel Maribohok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The World Health Organization, or the WHO, declared monkeypox a global health emergency. According to the WHO, transmission occurs when a person comes into close contact with the virus through an infected animal, infected person, or contaminated environment. The following symptoms of monkeypox are commonly experienced at the beginning of the disease: fever, headache, muscle ache, backache, swollen lymph nodes, chills, general feeling of exhaustion. Symptoms can progress to a rash with red, raised bumps on the skin, which then turns into pus-filled blisters before eventually drying out and falling off. Those who have a travel history in countries with confirmed monkeypox cases and are currently experiencing symptoms were advised to immediately seek medical attention. There are no treatments specifically for monkeypox virus infections. However, monkeypox and smallpox viruses are genetically similar, which means that antiviral drugs and vaccines developed to protect against smallpox may be used to prevent and treat monkeypox virus infections.
The Department of Health, or DOH, is working with international authorities to coordinate the procurement of smallpox vaccines and anti-monkeypox medications. A compassionate special permit is required for the use of smallpox jabs versus monkeypox in the Philippines, according to the DOH. Kaf Dumaraos explains why.
Experts from all across the world advise using smallpox vaccines to prevent the spread of the infectious monkeypox. Philippines currently lacks a supply of smallpox vaccines. The Department of Health has already coordinated with the U.S. Agency for International Development to secure smallpox vaccines and medications that can be used to treat monkeypox.
We'd like to assure that we are in constant communication with our counterparts, particularly in the USAID, in terms of securing both the vaccines and the medicines. So the medicines will come in handy just in case the case actually is not a simple one.
Expert in infectious diseases Dr. Eric Tayag has explained why Filipinos who have already received the smallpox vaccine continue to receive protection against it. This is because their previous smallpox vaccinations were ineffective in providing them with protection.
Kahit sa mga studies, nakita nila na wala ng protection. That's why may mga stockpile na vaccine, dalawang klase sa Amerika. Yung isa, lumang style na nga tinutusok-tusok pa yung laman mo. Ayaw na nilang gamitin yon, may bago na. Una ng smallpox, considered na wala silang protection kasi 40 years na yon.
Those who will be directly caring for monkeypox cases should get smallpox jabs once the World Health Organization gives the go signal for mass vaccination against monkeypox. Meanwhile, in order to use the smallpox vaccines against monkeypox in the Philippines, the Food and Drug Administration should issue a Compassionate Special Permit or CSP.
Kung CPR, medyo matagal po yan, no? Because it will take a certain process. So our route now is when we receive the vaccine, it will really be through CSP, no? So it's a Compassionate Special Permit that FDA will be issuing for a limited amount of time. So that's really our route. So once we get the donations, we can use it ASAP.
Currently, mild monkeypox cases are managed through the treatment of their symptoms. Kat Maraos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Health provided mental health and psychosocial support to earthquake survivors after areas in Luzon were impacted by intense tremors earlier this week. Ray Pelayo reports.
After a disaster, post-traumatic stress disorder may develop, which has immediately negative effects on mental health. Due to this, those who were affected by the earthquake in Abra receives psychological and mental health support. Children and their parents participate in play therapy.
Ito'y importante kasi andito pa kasi yung trauma sa kanila. Baka para hindi sila maapekturan sa kanilang pagka-mental breakdown. Lalo na yung kanina nanunumbalik yung trauma effect nung 1990 earthquake. At saka ngayon din yung recently.
After the session, parents noticed a difference in their children's emotional aspect.
Sobrang takot po sila. Buti na lang meron sila na merong nagpasaya sa kanila. Ang saya-saya nila at meron silang prize na binigay, may merienda. In-share namin yung mga dapat namin ma-share para mawala yung pakiramdam namin. Nakakinhawa po.
Even those who were not evacuated but nonetheless experienced the earthquake, according to social workers, should receive this kind of care. In fear of aftershocks, the Henedina family of Barangay Gareta, Padigan in Abra sleep outside their houses. The strong quake damaged her house.
Nandyan kami sa labas naglalaba po.
Tapos?
Nakita kong parang yata ako. Pero nakita kong nag-shake sa itong bahay, takbo.
Government agencies support the residents' need by providing them with potable water and food. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And for the news abroad, the Supreme Leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-un, criticizes the new Prime Minister of South Korea and threatens to use the country's nuclear arsenal. Marvin Delfin tells us why live. Yes, Marvy, go ahead. Mariel, on the 69th anniversary of the Korean War armistice, Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un announced that his nation was prepared to initiate its nuclear war deterrent. The Supreme Leader warned the United States that any military conflict will be countered, adding that the United States has long justified their dangerous acts against North Korea by demonizing the country. Kim Jong-un stated that by misleading North Korea's nuclear missile programs as a threat, he flagged this as a robbery, as the United States continues to conduct military exercises which threaten North Korea's security. Kim Jong-un also took a jab at South Korea's Prime Minister Yoon and his administration for being determined to conduct confrontational military activities and which has pushed the peninsula near war, he says. Meanwhile, South Korea's Minister of Foreign Affairs Park Jin commented that North Korea would probably suffer from stronger sanctions if they undergo with their missile tests. Marielle? Thank you, Marvin Delfin, reporting live. U.S. President Joe Biden receives a warning from Chinese President Xi Jinping not to play with fire by allowing the United States House Speaker to travel to Taiwan that China has claimed. Joselito Liquido will tell us the details live. Yes, Joselito?
Marielle, amid mounting agitation in Beijing and U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's plan to visit the Chinese-claimed Taiwan, China firmly expressed its opposition and external forces' interference. China's state media reported that during President Xi Jinping's and Joe Biden's phone call, Mr. Xi told Mr. Biden that the United States should abide by the One China principle and stressed that China firmly opposed Taiwanese independence. Early on, Beijing has issued and continues to escalate warnings about the consequences should Ms. Pelosi visit Taiwan, saying that it reflects an increase in Chinese military and economic threats. On the other hand, the White House issued readouts of President Biden's call says that the U.S. strongly opposes unilateral efforts to change the status quo and undermine peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait. Meanwhile, a senior U.S. official reported that the possibility of a face-to-face meeting was also discussed by President Biden and President Xi, which will be the first for both leaders. Marielle?
Thank you, Joselito Liquido, for that live report. Meanwhile, a mild economic downturn may be headed for the U.S. economy after it contracted again in the second quarter. But experts say it is too early to claim that a recession is in the works. Beverly Saison will tell us why.
America's gross domestic product, or GDP, was reduced by 0.9% this quarter. This comes as the nation continues to deal with rising inflation and interest rates. Despite a rise in consumer spending, residential property investing and business investing declined during the quarter. Increased mortgage rates are to blame, economists say. Be that as it may, experts say this does not mean that the U.S. is headed towards a recession. According to the National Bureau of Economic Research, a recession is only declared when a region experiences a dramatic decline in industrial production, retail sales, and employment. This is not the current situation in the United States. American employers have been hiring an average of 457,000 workers per month so far this year. Experts claim that although economic growth slowed over the past few months, the U.S. economy is not in recession. Beverly Saison, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
We'll share more global stories with you later, but for now, back to you, Harleen.
Thank you, Marielle. For those watching on live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. The father of the gunman in the shooting incident at the Ateneo de Manila University in Quezon City was shot dead just outside his residence in Lamitan, Basilan this morning. The Police Regional Office, Bangsamoro Autonomous Region, says it is determining if the incident was caused by rido or family feud. Here's Leia Ilagan to tell us why.
A thorough investigation by the Philippine National Police is currently being conducted into the killing of Dr. Chow Tiao Yumol's father, who was the gunman in the Ateneo de Manila University shooting incident that left 3 people dead. PNP Directorate for Operations Director, Police Major General Val de Leon said, even though the Ateneo shooting is part of the investigation into the death of Rolando Yumol, a 69-year-old retired police officer, all possible angles are being considered. Meanwhile, Police Regional Office Bangsamoro Autonomous Region Director, Police Brigadier General Arthur Cabalona said that one of the angles they are looking is rido or family feud.
Lahat naman po ng angle tinitingnan natin at of course hindi lang tayo nagfo-focus doon, no? But then kasama na yan na anggulo na as an offshoot of what happened in Ateneo University.
Cabalona adds that after the Ateneo shooting incident, they gave Doc Yumol's father police security.
He was advised to stay laylo, no? Kasi nga alam mo naman yung kultura dito po sa na yung gantihan. So may mga ganon na notion at precaution. Early this morning, hindi pa po nakarating na uli yung mga security natin na police, lumabas siya ng bahay. Unfortunately, doon po nakasilip ng opportunity yung mga salarin.
The elder Yumol suffered 4 gunshot wounds and was immediately taken to Lamitan District Hospital, where the attending physician declared him dead on arrival. Just hours after he was attacked, he was given a decent burial by his relatives on Friday afternoon. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, the Furigay family requests that the general public refrain from passing judgment on them in relation to the murder of Roland Yumol, the father of the Ateneo de Manila University gunman. Dante Amento reports why.
The Furigay family's legal counsel, Attorney Quirino Esguerra, revealed that they were stunned by Rolando Yumol's death in Lamitan, Basilan this morning. The victim is the father of Dr. Chow Tiao Yumol, the suspect in last Sunday's shooting incident at the Ateneo de Manila University that claimed the life of former mayor of Lamitan, Rosita Furigay.
Of course, nagulat ang family na nangyari yon. Nag-request nga ang family na mag-conduct ang PNP ng thorough investigation.
Attorney Esguerra added the Furigay family ordered thorough investigation on the death of Yumol's father. Hence, they should not be judged or blamed over the incident.
Hindi naman tama na husgahan na kaagad ang pamilya Furigay na sila ay may kinalaban dito. Kasi lahat naman ng kaso ay dinaan ng pamilya Furigay sa legal na proseso nung niyurakan ng kanilang mga karapatan.
Dr. Yumol accused the Furigay family of being involved with illegal drugs operations in Lamitan. However, Attorney Quirino vehemently refuted this allegation.
Wala pong katotohanan. Hawak-hawak ko po sa ngayon ang isang certification galing po sa PIDEA na walang kaso na droga o kinalaman sa droga si former Mayor Rosita Furigay, pati si Mayor Roderick Furigay who was her vice mayor at that time. Nag-issue din po ng certification ang PDEG o Philippine Drug Enforcement Group regarding this matter na wala silang record involving drugs.
Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. called a special cabinet meeting today to discuss the proposed national budget for 2023. Nel Maribohok will tell us why.
The 5.2 trillion peso 2023 proposed budget is the top item on the main agenda of President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr.'s special cabinet meeting. The proposed budget will probably be submitted to Congress by next week, said Press Secretary Trixie Cruz Angeles.
Ito sa special cabinet meeting, ang pinag-usapan po namin ay tungkol sa budget. Nagpresenta po ang Department of Budget and Management at ipinakita yung proposed submission for Congress. Pagkatapos ay may mga konting input galing sa iba't ibang mga kalihim para sa fine-tuning na ito. Makakapagsumite ang department sa Kongreso on time by next week.
The 2023 budget was discussed in a cabinet meeting earlier this year. The national budget and programs in the infrastructure and transport sector were discussed at the second cabinet meeting on July 12. Education is one of the sectors that would get the most funding in the proposed budget, according to Secretary Angeles.
Topmost, of course, is still the right sizing, but the same priorities hold true. The Constitution requires the biggest budgetary allocation for education, so it's still the same. Hindi po masyadong nagbago from last year.
President Marcos pledged to prioritize economic recovery, universal access to healthcare, easing farmer debt burden, and streamlining government operations at his State of the Nation address. Nel Maribuho, UNTV News and Rescue, we serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Energy, or DOE, anticipates extended rollback in fuel prices in the coming weeks. As for next week, the agency sees a 1 peso decrease in the prices of diesel and kerosene. Asher Kadapan Jr. tells us why live. Yes, Asher, go ahead.
Yes, Will, the interest rate increase of the European Central Bank continues to pull down the demand for crude in the global market. This results to a downward adjustment in the local prices of petroleum products. But after the United States announcement of interest hike, another series of fuel price rollback may be expected, according to DOE Oil Industry Management Bureau Director Rino Abad.
Unti-unti na pong kumakalma yung epekto na yan, kaya medyo maliit na po ngayon yung ating mga rollback. In fact, sa gasolina, increase na nga po. But please note, nag-announce po kahapon ang US naman na may another round sila ng interest hike. At malaki po ang possibility na marireinforce na naman po yung tuloy-tuloy na pagkakaroon ng rollback.
The DOE estimates a 1 peso per liter rollback in the prices of diesel and kerosene next week, while gasoline may slightly increase to an additional 50 centavos per liter. Abad says the U.S. interest rate hike may still lead to a decrease in the prices of gasoline next week.
May indikasyon po tayo ng rollback sa diesel. Meron pong increase na konti, so antabayanan din po ang ultimate price na makukuha natin sa araw na to.
Will, the DOE emphasizes that the set estimated fuel price adjustment for next week may still change, and the agency will confirm the final price within a couple of days. Will?
Yes, thank you, Asher Kadapan Jr., reporting live from Quezon City.
Bangladesh has reached out to the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, after requesting a bailout. Jane Robles will tell us why live. Yes, Jane?
Marielle, Bangladesh has requested a $4.5 billion loan from the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, after being hit by high import and gas prices and facing a fall in its export. The garment industry of Bangladesh supplies retailers in Europe, US, and South America, making it one of the fastest growing economies in the world for years. But as the energy cost and food prices continue to inflate due to Russia's invasion to Ukraine, Bangladesh's import bill has increased and sent its balance of payments into deficit. Meanwhile, an IMF spokesman said that they stand ready to support Bangladesh and its staff will work with the authorities on the program designed for the country. In another statement, Bangladesh Finance Minister Mustafa Kamal said the government would only take an IMF loan if their conditions were favorable. He added that seeking an IMF loan does not mean that the country's economy is in bad shape. Marielle?
Thank you, Jane Robles, reporting live. Russian and Ukrainian forces have started to operate counterattacks in different Ukrainian regions. Cherise Longbowen will give us the details live. Yes, Cherise, please go ahead.
Good evening, Marielle. Russian forces launched more than 15 missile strikes towards Ukraine's cities Chernihiv and the capital city Kyiv. This after months of being untargeted since Russia's withdrawal a few months ago after failing to capture both cities. According to Kyiv's governor Oleksiy Kuleba via telegram, the missiles hit a building which led to 15 injured, including 5 civilians. Chernihiv's governor Vyacheslav Chausov added in a Ukrainian TV statement that more than 10 missiles were fired in the region, and it was Russia's way of greeting the Ukrainians as they marked their day of statehood with a public holiday for the first time. Meanwhile, Ukrainian forces continued their counterattacks in the Russian-occupied region of Kherson in the south. Presidential advisor Alexei Arestovich plans to isolate the Russian troops in the region and take control of Kherson once again. President Volodymyr Zelensky firmly stated on his address on the day of Ukrainian statehood that Russia's threats do not matter.
І неважливо, чим вона, сиренами, чи чим там нам погрожує. Важливо, що ми закохуємо інших у нашу українську незламність.
Back to you, Marielle.
Thank you, Cherise Longbowen, for that live report. More rain and cooler days. This is Australia's weather outlook for the upcoming spring season, despite facing one of its wettest winters in the history. The Bureau of Meteorology, or BOM, reported that Eastern Australia will see above average rainfall in the next 3 months between August and October. This would result to high stream flows and spark more flooding, particularly in the states of Queensland and New South Wales, according to BOM senior climatologist Dr. Lynette Bishion. While most regions are expecting heavy rainfall, some parts of the country, including Western Australia, Northern Territory, and Tasmania, will be in for a much drier spring season, with below average rainfall. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Mariela Toza reporting live from Perth, Australia. Good evening. The Department of Migrant Workers will provide financial assistance to families of overseas Filipino workers affected by the earthquake. JP Nunez reports.
Families of migrant workers who are severely impacted by the magnitude 7 earthquake in northern Luzon will get financial assistance from the Department of Migrant Workers or DMW. OFW families could get 3,000 to 5,000 peso in cash assistance. Affected families can apply for assistance at the nearest OWA office. The main requirement is that at least one member of the family must be employed abroad. The DMW awaits the report of the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council on the actual number of affected families, which will determine which regions and areas will be prioritized in the distribution of government aid.
Hinihintay natin yung yung damage and needs assessment. That should be coming from the National Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council and the provincial DRRMCs. Para ma-identify po natin, Audrey, yung mga lugar kung saan talaga medyo mabigat yung pananalanta na nangyari because of the earthquake. And then with that information, ma-identify natin yung mga lugar din na yun bilang target areas natin for providing assistance sa mga pamilya ng OFWs.
DMW Secretary Susan Toots Ople said that the 20 million pesos allocated financial aid will be their initial help. The department is also coordinating with the Home Development Mutual Fund or the Pag-ibig Fund to assist families of overseas workers in need of an emergency loan. The Pag-ibig Fund announces on a Facebook post their Lingkod Pag-ibig on Wheels has been deployed in the province of Abra to assist for immediate process of loan for those affected by earthquake. It aims to speed up the application process for those wishing to apply for a multi-purpose loan, a disaster loan, a housing loan with no insurance, and other packages. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, Metro Manila mayors employ several tactics to increase COVID-19 booster vaccination among their constituents. Janice Inhente will tell us why.
In accordance with President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s mandate to launch a drive for 23 million booster shots in the next 3 months, local government units in Metro Manila use different strategies to implement vaccination coverage for their constituents. Apart from house-to-house vaccination, the LGU in Pateros allows walk-in for booster vaccination to speed up the process for the third and fourth dose.
Naranasan namin ngayon na pag nag-schedule tayo ng ilan, itinetext o kino-contact, ay hindi naman pupunta. Minsan 20%, 30% lang ang pupunta. Sayang naman yung ating mga health workers na nandoon at naghihintay lamang. Kaya ang ginagawa namin ngayon ay walk-in na, doon na lang sila sasalain. Pag talagang hindi pa sila eligible, hindi sila babaknahan. Mas maganda na to para ma-maximize namin yung number nung ibubooster namin.
According to Mayor Ponce, just 60% of the target adult population has received the first booster dose, while only 25% have received the second. In Makati City, the local government organizes a booster vaccination drive for students, vendors, and PUV drivers. Although walk-ins are accepted at their vaccination sites, non-residents are reminded to pre-register on their vaccination portal first.
Ang strategy namin dyan is nag-house to house kami para kausapin yung mga tao, hikayatin sila na magpapakuna sa mga toda-joda, yung mga drivers, mga operators na magpapakuna na rin sila for the booster. And yun nga, pati sa mga schools saka sa palengke, pupuntahan na rin natin sila.
In order to bring booster vaccination closer to the general public, Malabon City is implementing vaccination in some private establishments, churches, and schools. Aiming to increase vaccine confidence, Mayor Jeannie Sandoval says they are currently strengthening their vaccine information drive to the community.
We just have to educate people. We can partner with private agencies like schools, private schools, and churches para magkaroon ng mga venues very near to the neighborhoods, to the communities para magpabakuna. And then we're coordinating with the companies. Yung Red Cross din, malaking bagay, tumutulong din sila dun sa magkaroon sila ng mga vaccination sites din para ma-reach ng very accessible sa ating mga taong bayan.
Apart from the cities mentioned, some LGUs in Metro Manila such as Taguig, Manila, and Davao City are also accepting walk-ins for booster vaccination. For those who want to receive the booster dose vaccination, the location and time of the vaccination in your area may be found on the local government's Facebook pages. Janice Inhente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Local government units in the National Capital Region are implementing cleanup drives as well as fogging as part of their anti-dengue campaign. Aileen Cerudo reports.
The Department of Health said that the number of dengue cases in the country is alarming. Dengue cases in the country reached 73,909 from January 1 to July 9, according to DOH data. Almost 300 people have died as a result of the virus. One of the 17 regions in the country with the highest dengue cases is the National Capital Region. In order to address this, the local government of Quezon City is enhancing its search and destroy strategy against dengue. All of the residents are being educated to promote personal protection too. Meanwhile, Malabon City is carrying out further cleanup campaigns to eradicate mosquito breeding grounds that may be harboring the dengue virus.
Ang ginawa namin ngayon, since nag-start na yung ulanan, and then medyo may konting mga bahaan, yung mga stagnant water, inaalis namin talaga yon. And then nag-clean up drive kami last Saturday, citywide. In-enjoy namin yung mga tao, and-encourage namin sila mag-clean ng sarili nilang mga communities.
According to Dr. Marthoni Basco, City Health Officer of Valenzuela City, they are placing larvae or OV traps in various barangays to determine if an area is positive of the virus.
Kapag nakakita ng isa na kitikiti or larvae doon sa ating trap, ay kinoconsider na may potensyal ang neighborhood or community na ito na magkaroon ng dengue cases. So this is a proactive and preventive measure para maiwasan natin ang dengue.
Once confirmed, they will immediately conduct cleaning operations with the residents and fogging. Even the municipality of Pateros is also intensifying their campaign against dengue.
Ngayon, ini-intensify namin yung pagmimisting. Pagkatapos, meron kaming barker, umiikot na sa buong bayan ilang araw na ito, na talagang pinapaalalahanan yung lahat ng mga mamamayan natin para malaman nila kung ano yung tamang pag-iingat, at kung ano yung dapat na maagap na pagresponde kung sakaling sila ay mayroong lagnat.
Experts remind the public to maintain a clean home, remove stagnant water which might become breeding places of mosquitoes, and wear mosquito repellent. They also advise the public to immediately seek medical attention if they are experiencing dengue symptoms. Eileen Cerudo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God, from the book of Psalms, chapter 53, verse 2. It says, God looked down from heaven upon the children of men, to see if there were any that did understand, that did seek God. And those are the reasons behind the news, July 29, 2022. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Harleen Delgado.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.